I felt the need to put on the Ravenclaw shirt just to remind everyone that I am a Ravenclaw, and so therefore the tiny details do bother me. Hello, my lovely friends. It's Margaret, and it's time to nerd out about Fantastic Beasts. So I have my tea, I have no script, I'm just here to chat with you guys and tell you some thoughts about Crimes of Grindelwald. I don't even know if I'm going to edit this video. I don't know. I really don't know. Am I going to? Possibly. We'll see. I just felt like being chatty. I had tea left over from my last chatty video. I will link to that up above, over here. So at this point, I've seen Crimes of Grindelwald, or Grindelwald, 2 times. And I have to say, I've seen very mixed reactions. You either love it or you hate it, and I feel really weird because I'm kind of in the middle, because there was stuff I absolutely adored and I loved and I thought was great, and then there was stuff that I was like, why? Just so you know, there are going to be spoilers in this video. If you're not about the spoilers, if you haven't seen it yet, if you're waiting, you just want to like pass over, just bye. You want to leave now. If you don't mind spoilers, stick around. I'm gonna spoil a whole bunch of things. Yes, there are things I feel very strongly about, things I absolutely adored, and things that I just need to get off my chest. We need to get one thing out of the way first, and that is, I loved the Minerva McGonagall cameo. I don't care about timelines. Don't care. In this one instance, timelines are irrelevant. You know what? She could have been a student in Harry Potter's year at Hogwarts, and I would still be like, yes, put her in 1900, I'm happy. Let's put her in a flashback with Newt and Leah. Yes, Minerva McGonagall is my queen. She is the boss. She is an icon, and we need more of her, especially young Minerva. So, I guess my biggest thing with that is that, like, it's not official canon. I mean, it is official canon. I assume it's on some, like, Pottermore thing that J.K. Rowling published. But, like, if it's not in the book, kind of doesn't count, in my opinion. I mean, it does, but it doesn't. Like, I feel like anything that's not in a published book can be rewritten if she wants to. It's foolish to have published stuff like that if you're going to go back on it, but in this case, I don't care. Like, if there had been an entire chapter in, let's go with the Order of the Phoenix, because we needed some happiness and celebration. If there had been an entire chapter in the Order of the Phoenix where we celebrated McGonagall's birthday and we told what age she was, then yeah, I'd have an issue with it, but I don't. And you can come at me all you want. You're not going to convince me to have an issue with it. Now that that's out of the way, listen, that cameo made me so happy. Like, I heard her voice, and I was like, no, Margaret, don't get excited. It is not your fave. It is not your fave. It's not the queen. Don't get excited. And then Dumbledore says, go with Professor McGonagall, and I was like, yes! I'm doing slow motion, but I was much more violent in the movie theater. I just don't want to spill my tea because it's tasty. Now, we will go on from the thing that I adored the most, that was like my favorite, not really my favorite part. My favorite part was actually, we'll get to my favorite part at some point. The thing that bothered me the most was the Obliviate spell. Like, that is actually in the books, guys. Like, we have an idea of how Obliviate works from Deathly Hallows and from Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. That's what the name of the first movie was. I don't even remember. It's been a while. And you cannot tell me that Hermione Jean Granger, the brightest witch of her age, the woman who knows, like, everything, who has read probably every book in Hogwarts library, except they probably have hidden books and there's a restrictions section, so she probably hasn't. But you can't tell me that Hermione would not have known that about the Obliviate spell. What use is a spell that only erases her parents' unhappy or sad or whatever memories about her? That would not erase her completely, okay? She's not going to use a spell on her parents that's supposed to erase her from their memory if it's not going to erase them completely. I'm probably making so much noise. I don't know. Or maybe not. Maybe we're fine. That bothered me, because that is stuff that is directly in the books. I haven't read the play, by the way. Just so you know, I haven't read the play because I don't believe in reading plays before you've seen the play. Or I dislike it, unless it's Shakespeare, in which case I I will read it, and then you can, like, you have easily accessible Shakespeare. But for the most part, I don't like reading plays. And so if there's anything that, like, yeah, just keep in mind, I have not read Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. I eventually will get to it at some point because Rose Weasley. Anyways, so that bothered me because Hermione used Obliviate to erase her parents' memories completely. And she would not have used it if it was not going to erase her parents' memories completely. So the fact that it was like it only erased bad memories and not the good ones or the weird or scary ones, like, I mean, I'm glad Jacob has his memory back. But, that was a classic Greek tragedy kind of thing where everything happens off stage. So much stuff. Okay, like, so much stuff happened off stage. I was, you know, the biggest thing for me was I wanted more with the characters and less of, like, Grindelwald escaping the American Ministry of Magic or Congress of United States Magic. I don't know what it was. I don't know, because it was changed, apparently, between two movies. Like, the entire escape scene with Grindelwald was way too long. I'm sorry. Just so many scenes in editing they needed to have cut. Alright? That's just the thing. Like, they spent way too much time on things like flying blue dragons of flame and not enough time on their characters. Speaking of their characters, ooh boy. Let's get into the racism stuff. Now, I'm going to Google some things, possibly, and put them down below if I remember to do that. Because there are people who have much more reason to say the things that I am about to say. I do still have a slight issue with Nagini because, as far as we know now, we have an Asian woman who ends up enslaved to a blood supremacist as an animal. That's a little sketchy. That's an issue. Also, the fact that, like, Nagini is, I was a little bit more okay with her character the first time I saw it versus the second time, because the second time I realized she's not really her own character. She's just there to kind of prop up Credence's storyline. We could literally take Nagini out of the entire storyline and she would have done nothing to the plot. Everything would stay the same. Literally everything. Except maybe Credence needed someone to help him speak French. But, like, that's bad rep. Okay, that's bad representation. Now, I do feel like there is room for this story to be redeemed if J.K. Rowling can come up with some way to separate the snake from the woman. If that happens, I will be okay with this. But I don't know, because so far, of her people of color that we know of that have been in the books, and I don't know if Lee Jordan and Dean Thomas are actually described as black in the books, so I'm not counting them in this. So far, in the books, we have Cho Chang, who ends up just written off and we never hear of her again after the 5th book, which is an issue I didn't mind because I'm a Henny shipper, and so I'm a very violent shipper, and so I just have no time for people who get in the way of my ship. But that's universal. I'm reading a book right now, and the main character is with someone else besides the person that I know they're going to end up with, who the person I want them to end up with, and if he died, I'd be fine with it. I honestly, I would probably kill him myself. When I'm doing this list, I'm not talking about, like, characters that we see kind of like the Parvatis. We do get to see them. We do know a little bit about them, but they're not a part of the plot. They're not they're not a major character. So of the characters that are named, speaking of which, Crimes of Grindelwald definitely failed the Bechdel test, which I know it's not the end-all be-all of feminism, but, like, it failed completely. Anyways, back to my original point is we have Cho Chang that is named and is influential in the storyline, and she gets written off. We have Nagini, who is named and kind of a part of the storyline, who is enslaved to Voldemort. We have Who else? There was something else that happened. And we have Lita. We have Lita, who I will get to in a minute. And then we have her half-brother, Yusuf Kama. Of the four, he's the only one that is kind of like possibly all right. And that's an issue. Lita Lestrange's entire backstory and plotline, I have issues with. And normally I'd be totally okay with the fact that she is gone, because I am a violent and bitter shipper. You're on my channel. If you're on my channel, you just need to know this about me. I am not a multi-shipper. It is not in me. I ship, and I ship canon, and if canon does not work out for me, I'm done with it. I don't got time for that. I am not built to be a non-canon shipper. I'm not. I've tried. But I end up bitter and no, thank you. And that also counts for books where one person in my ship dies at the end of the frickin' trilogy. Anyways, Lita's backstory with her mom, racist as hell. I don't know how that made it into the movie. The issue is that it was a black woman being stolen from her family by a white man, which actually happened. Like, a lot was an issue. We fought an entire war about it in the United States. I don't know about the rest of you. Like, it just and it was just like this side note in the backstory of this character. There are ways to do that plot and engage with it. Now, whether or not you can do that plot and engage with it authentically, if you are not black, that is for someone else to decide. But like, there are ways to engage with stuff like that has racist undertones in meaningful ways that challenge the kind of society of the time. There are ways to handle that in more modern tellings of that time. But like that, and then this has, like, the fact that she's a black woman, the fact that Lita is a black woman only, like, it adds to the of this situation, but like, just the fact that Lita is a woman who sacrifices herself. She gets fridged to further the plot of two white men. And we are not currently in a point in our entertainment industry where that's okay. Like, if we had more female-led movies like this, more female-led action movies, more female-led fantasy movies, if we had more of that, and we are getting some more of that, it wouldn't be as big a deal. Because then you would also have the fact that, like, dudes are getting fridged as well. And so, for those of you that don't know, to be fridged is when you are, the character is, like, killed or maimed or severely injured to further the plot of the main character, and they're just kind of written off. If I find that article, if I can find that, I will link it down below. But the fact that, A, we had a woman who was killed to further the plot of two men, that's an issue. And the fact that it was a black woman only adds to that issue. And, like, there just aren't enough characters of color in J.K. Rowling's world for her to be doing these things with the characters that she has. Sorry, there are not. It's just... Now, I really did like... it is so frustrating, too, because I actually liked Lita. I liked her as a character. I liked her I honestly believe that she had been carrying this guilt her entire life. I honestly believe that. Like, I thought that was such a fascinating kind of, like, she didn't really understand what she was doing. There was no way she could have known the ship was going down. She just wanted to be free of her brother for a few hours. Like, that's all she wanted. She just wanted a baby that was not crying. Like, parents have done worse to get their kids to shut up. That was fascinating to me. I thought she was a fantastic character. I don't understand why she needed to die. Okay? Now, part of that is because I know that Newt has very much moved on and Lita is not a player in this game any longer, and I really was hoping that she would end up having a lovely romance with Theseus or someone else. But like, that is what bothered me the most. Like, the jury is still out for me personally on Nagini. But the jury is not out for Lita because she's gone. She's dead. Nothing else can be done with her. There's no way to redeem that storyline. It's already a freaking mess. Listen, there weren't a lot of shippy moments in Crimes of Grindelwald, but I absolutely adored just about every scene with Newt, except for the one with the Kelpie and all that. There was so much in there that I was just like, this is why are we having this scene? It's kind of pointless. Although can we appreciate the next level pun that was a Kelpie made of kelp? Guys, if you didn't know that you were here for the puns, you're here for the puns. Just know I love puns. Puns are amazing. They make me so happy. And I don't care if you think they're bad. They make me happy. I'm almost out of tea. I need to talk faster. Anyways, that whole, like, I don't know. I do like that we get to see some of the creatures, but I felt like, I don't know, I felt like Fantastic Beasts 1 put them in the story better. Like, they were more integral in the story and more a part of the story. And like the Zoa, I think. I don't know. It's a magical creature. I have no idea. That was a part of the story, and it actually was part of the plot. But everything that happened in Newt's little TARDIS type thing under his house, that was like the part with the Nifflers was important because everyone needs a Niffler in their life. That was important, and also it was used later. But like everything with Bunty, like, we could have just had the note saying, so-and-so, I'm gone, don't forget to give, and I've taken the Nifflers with me, or whatever it was his note said. That was all we needed. We didn't need to meet her. She was irrelevant to the plot. Absolutely irrelevant. And I know they were trying to give us a little bit more of, like, the character in the story, but we don't need new characters. Like, Lita and Theseus and Grindelwald and his kind of thing. That was all the new characters we need. We didn't have time for all these other random side characters. Speaking of which, we're going to have to get to Queenie. Oh boy, guys, okay, so we're gonna circle back around here. My gosh, what is it about Newt Scamander that has everyone in love with him? Because Bunty clearly had a thing for him. Lita, we know, loved him. And Tina loves him, or is at least interested. I wish we had gotten... Speaking of, I wish, like, instead of that whole scene with Grindelwald escaping, I wish we had gotten, like, Tina getting a letter from Newt, or Tina seeing that newspaper article. Poor Tolliver. Is that his name? I don't know. I don't remember. He's not important to the plot. Poor dude's he's getting dumped. Like, right straight away. He's already dumped. He just doesn't know it yet. But I absolutely loved, like, the two, I loved Jacob and Newt's little thing about, Tina and what Newt needed to say, and don't say the salamander thing. And I'm sitting there going, well, I think, I wasn't sure if she would get it, but I thought that was cute because in 99% of cases, comparing your crush's eyes to a salamander would not work. But then we get the scene where he's trying so hard to explain what he means without using the word that he has been told not to say. And she gets it, and I loved that. Like, who doesn't want to be understood like that? That he means it as a compliment, and that he, like, she understands how much he genuinely loves, like, these creatures, and the fact that he is comparing her to one of his beloved creatures, like, she gets it. And I liked that. I thought that was fantastic. I wish she would have stopped calling him Mr. Scamander. He probably did too, but also it was a nice detail where you can kind of see her trying to put distance between them. So there was that. I loved that. It was just... And then she proceeded to have, like, zero influence on the plot. None of the women really, like, you could have taken all of the women out of this movie and nothing would have changed. Except Queenie, probably, because she is kind of Jacob's motivation for, like, everything he does. Although he would have done it to be with Newt, so never mind. Never mind. Speaking of Queenie, Listen, she's always been a little sketchy for me because like I don't think it's right to read people's minds without their permission, but I also kind of got this sense that she doesn't really have control over it. So there's that. But like you expect me to believe she is going to join the wizarding Nazis. No. You didn't sell it to me, especially since they were actually talking about humans like they were trash. And she's like, oh yes, I want to be with a human. So it makes sense for me to go with this anti-human group. Sweetie, no. I know this sounds like I hated the movie, and I didn't hate it. I just kind of didn't absolutely love it. But I'm almost out of tea. This is disappointing. And we're going to get to the big one. The big one. All right, so I know I was perfectly fine with timeline finaglings and all of this with McGonagall. But can we discuss Credence? Because I'm not calling him. I'm not calling him Aurelius Dumbledore. Because I'm not. Because it makes no sense. This is what I do need to put in the disclaimer, that I understand that this is the second movie and it's kind of supposed to be a bridge. It was a transitional movie, so not everything is going to be wrapped up neatly. I think we could have wrapped things up a little bit more neatly if we had less time focused on some of this other like special effects and all of that stuff, and more time focused on characters, because we just, what was it, Christine from Poland Banana's books, she said there definitely had to have been scenes where dialogue was cut, just because there just were leaps made that they had to have covered at some point. Speaking of which, they did a lot of telling instead of showing, and we really should have had more showing and not less telling. But so there's a whole bunch of stuff that like I didn't sit right with me, or I was like, this could be bad storytelling, but I'm not gonna say it's bad storytelling until later, because it's stuff that might be resolved. Or might be being built for the next 3 movies. But the whole Aurelius Dumbledore thing is the biggest, stupidest thing I have ever... What the heck, guys? I shouldn't be taking this at face value because I'm sure there is more to it. I'm sure she has something planned. I'm sure that she's like, I don't know. Probably Grindelwald is lying. But then again, there is the Phoenix. So what the heck is the Phoenix doing there if he is not actually a Dumbledore? I don't know. Is he maybe he's not, Albus, maybe he's not Albus's daughter, maybe he's not Albus's brother. Hello, speaking of which, thank you to whoever cast Jude Law as Dumbledore, because, like, I did not know I needed hot Dumbledore in my life, but I needed hot Dumbledore in my life, and life is complete now. I've never been more disappointed that a character was gay. That's okay, though. And listen, I know he didn't outright say it, but he kind of outright said it, in my opinion. I'm the last person that you should be taking my opinion, though, for on this. I just, like, there is no other way to interpret Closer Than Brothers. No other way. But, like, okay, I need both hands for this. We know the history of the Dumbledore family. We know we've got Albus, Aberforth, and Ariana, or Aberforth. I don't know. We know that. We know that their dad died in Azkaban before having any other children. So, how? What happened? Did he, like, I know people are like, oh, maybe he got out of Azkaban and, like, snuck out because obviously Barty Crouch Jr. had done it. But, like, there are just a whole bunch of plot holes in that scenario that I'm just like, maybe don't reveal that. Maybe don't reveal that. In the movie, at the very end, in this movie. Maybe it would have been smarter to, like, save it for the 3rd movie. Because honestly, if we had never gone back to Grindelwald and Credence and Queenie at all in this movie, I would have been fine. If we just stuck with Dumbledore and the rest of the group kind of figuring things out, that would have been great. Perfect place to end the movie on. We wouldn't have needed to go into all of that. Like, I understand why they did it, but it was a poor choice, in my opinion, to do it that way, okay? Like, just a poor choice, poor writing choice. Because it just looks like, whether or not it will end up being bad writing, it looks like bad writing. Okay? It looks like she just was like, oh, here, I'm gonna throw darts at the people that I already have, and he's gonna be related to whoever it is, and I'll just make it work. But she has, in the books, we have the history of the Dumbledore family, like Albus's immediate, like, parents, siblings, all of that. We know who they are. We know roughly when they had to have been born, all of that kind of stuff. And so the fact that not only does he have an unknown brother, but he had an unknown brother that had to have been conceived after his dad went to Azkaban. I can't. Azkaban. The fact that he has an unknown brother that could not have been born until after their father was dead. Again, Dumbledore. Again, Grindelwald could be lying. Okay, that also is true. The fact that is, it just, like, it would have been better if we had saved it to the next movie. Okay, that's all I'm going to say about it. That's probably the thing, besides the poor treatment of women of color, that bothered me the most. Yeah, I am done ranting. Hold on, let's finish the tea. The tea is gone, so this video is over. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. I'm not usually this negative. I'm usually a little bit more positive and bubbly, and I only talk about things that I absolutely adore. Like I said, I did enjoy the movie to some extent. I was entertained for the entire movie. I just have issues with it that dampen my enjoyment, but hopefully in the rest of the movies, some of those issues will be fixed and no longer relevant. Also, don't forget to subscribe. I make videos 2 to 3 times a week about books and writing, and I would love to see your lovely face here on a regular basis. You can also find me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm a little more, salty on those two sometimes. Those are both at the word nerd, with a 3 in nerd instead of the E. That is it for now, my friends. I will see you later when we will talk about more wordy, nerdy things. Bye!